We're in a new space and we have a new segment, and we're kicking it all off with a very special guest. So stick with us right here
in the lounge with Stave Slide.
Welcome back to In the Lounge with Stave Slide. In this segment, Dan and I are just going to have some conversations and do some interviews with industry professionals in the bourbon and blues music industry.
Absolutely. We're excited about it.
Absolutely. And we've got a special guest with us here today. Dan, who we got with us?
We have Krista Hollingsworth of Freedom Whiskey Company. Krista, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are so glad that you're here. So you are the owner of Freedom Whiskey Company, a locally based company in Centerville, right?
Correct.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Freedom Whiskey Company and kind of what you're all about and what we can expect with your bourbon.
Yeah, absolutely. So the company was founded in 2017 by my previous husband, Captain Zach Hollingsworth. And when he got out of the Marine Corps, he first actually taught and coached at Centerville High School for a few years. And then he got a job at Wright Pat, worked for the Department of Defense. And he also got his MBA in business finance. So packed a lot in those few years. But so he knew he wanted to start a whiskey company, even going back to when he deployed in Afghanistan. And so, you know, all these years of thinking of this idea and then putting in the time and the research and, you know, licensing, it took almost 2 years from the time he said, I want to start a, you know, whiskey company until us actually launching. So the company launched in July of 2017, and we had our son in September 17. So 2017 was a big year. But so when he started the company, you know, he's a big bourbon drinker, you know, sat on the back porch with our neighbor who is retired from the Air Force now, you know, sipping on bourbon, just kind of, you know, talking about their time in the military. And so he, you know, wanted it to be something that brought people together and kind of, you know, have that camaraderie. But he wanted to give back to veterans. That was definitely kind of his biggest, you know, goal and mission. So that first year, we started the first annual Freedom Whiskey Veterans Day event. And that was at Heather's Cafe in Springboro. We had about 100 people attend, and we raised a little over $6,000 for a veteran charity. So each year after that, you know, we kept that event going. The event would, you know, grow a little bit each year. The company was growing very drastically. From 2017 until 2021, Freedom Whiskey was in 14 states. So you know, while still having his job at Wright Pat, he was traveling, you know, pretty much not quite every weekend, but about every other weekend, you know, promoting it in new states and, you know, doing country concerts and events and tastings and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So, unfortunately, Zach had been suffering from depression and PTSD for many, many years. So he passed away. He lost that battle on October 8th, 2021. So when that happened, you know, this company, this was his, you know, his dream. I supported his dream, but, you know, I was not, you know, the founder. I was not the entrepreneur and, you know, the bourbon connoisseur. So, you know, I struggled for a little bit of deciding to keep it or sell the company. I'm so thankful I decided to keep it. And I'm so blessed to have amazing friends and family that have helped me to, you know, keep the company going, and more importantly, keep the Veterans Day event going. The year that he passed, we ended up raising over $32,000 for the Veteran Foundation that year. So, and then since then, we've just continued to raise more and more money. So, and then actually about a year ago, May of 2024, I quit my job in property management to run the company as my full-time job and just, you know, keep the company going, keep that mission of helping and supporting veterans going and, you know, keeping his legacy alive.
That's amazing. I know as veterans ourselves, that support that you experienced throughout that, you know, the tragic passing of your husband. We're very sorry to hear that. But that support that you had during that time, we're familiar with that. That's that's a core of the military community, and that fact that you had that, I think that it sounds like that speaks a lot to what Freedom Whiskey is all about. So that's awesome to hear. You stepped into this industry not just as a business owner, but as a steward of Zach's dream. What have been some of the most surprising lessons, good or bad, that you've learned along the way?
Oh gosh, I've definitely learned that, I knew that anything that he went after, he could do it. And, he had this crazy big idea of starting a whiskey company. And I knew he could do it, but I never imagined that it would have, been as successful, and, the impact that it's made on the veteran community. I never would have imagined, that would have come out of it, at least not so quickly. And I think I've learned about myself, I never thought that I could carry on that legacy. I never ever would have thought that I'd be, running the company, and, the events that we've been, hosting, and the amount of money that we've been raising, and the amount of, just organizations and things that we've been getting involved with. So I think I've learned about myself is that I can do a lot more than I ever thought I could. And honestly, I know that a lot of, Zach's hard work, and, kind of his drive and his whole mentality, it was always no diddle, no doubt. Like he, thought of something and he did it. He didn't want to, take a lot of time. He just wanted to execute it, get it done, but efficiently. And I feel like in a way I've kind of, picked up on that, after being, together for 10 years-ish. But yeah, so that's definitely one lesson that I've learned that, about myself. I would say about the industry, it's not easy, and everyone that's in this industry knows that it's not, and things are changing all the time. I've learned so much in the last year. I never could have imagined how much goes into a whiskey, the spirits, business. So I've definitely learned a ton of lessons, and other things where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that next time. Little things just throughout the days or throughout the weeks, like mental note, do it differently next time. So, but yeah, definitely have learned a lot of big and small, good and bad lessons throughout this journey so far.
Fantastic.
So you already kind of touched on this a little bit, but Zach once said the company was about more than whiskey. It was about honoring those who serve. So how do you continue that commitment, especially in the veteran community? What kind of things do you have to put on?
Yeah, so with our annual Freedom Whiskey Veterans Day event, this will be our 8th year. So in the 7 years that we've had the event, we've raised over $200,000 for local veteran charities. And last year, we chose 2 charities to support. And again, they're local. The one is out in Hillsborough. Save a Warrior was one of the organizations that we raised money for last year. And then the other one, Hunters Helping Heroes. There's a group that lives here in the Dayton area that another fantastic organization. So, that impact, keeping it again local to the Dayton or the Ohio area, I think is really important. And then this summer, we're going to be having an event at Benham's Grove in Centerville, and that will be raising money for the Rebuild and Honor Project. And this project came out of our Veterans Day event last year. Quite a few local businesses came together, and they wanted to find a local disabled veteran to do a bathroom remodel for. And, announce that at our event, kind of, use our event to help, promote it and find, local disabled veterans. So people nominated a veteran, we all got together, chose the veteran, and then in January, it was about a 2-week project that was originally about a 5-week project, but they kind of crammed it in. The couple only had 1 bathroom, so they wanted to try to, do that project as quickly as they could. And the amount of, again, people and businesses that came together to, make that happen. The local VFW that the veteran Mike belongs to, they paid for their hotel for 2 weeks. We had a lot of people, chip in to give them gift cards for, restaurants. So obviously that's a huge impact to the local veteran community. And what's even more amazing is, after we did that project, the businesses that were involved said that they want to make this an annual thing. So every year we're going to do it. We're going to kind of partner it with our Veterans Day event, and then choose, another local disabled veteran to do a bathroom remodel for, and make it more accessible for them. But so this summer event, that the proceeds of that are going to be going to the Rebuild and Honor project as well.
Great. So stick around the end of the video. I'll throw up some information at the very end on how, if you'd like to contribute to any of the organizations or the funds that Freedom is involved with, how you can go about finding that information to do that.
So you've got a lot going on in the community supporting veterans. That's fantastic. So bourbon, we're talking bourbon, and a lot of people associate it, as a masculine thing, right? But more and more women are reshaping the narrative about bourbon. And as a woman leading a veteran-owned whiskey brand, how do you see your role in changing these perceptions?
Yeah, I think, definitely, people, I think, are, drawn to, obviously, the logo, the big eagle, have a shot of freedom, just the bottle, everything itself, what it represents, and what, I think people, when they first see it and see the veteran-owned, veteran-founded, draws them in. And then I think seeing a woman, kind of catches people off guard, and, kind of makes them like, I want to find out more about this. It looks like it's, veteran-owned, veteran-supported, and then there's a little female, running it. So let's find out more. So, and like you said, there's definitely more and more women that are, starting to get into bourbon, and hopefully, other women seeing me, do this, and something that I never ever thought I could do, hopefully that will help them to, know that no matter what business it is, whether it's bourbon, other liquor, anything at all, it doesn't matter who you are, what your gender is, you can definitely, make it happen if it's something you put your mind to.
Absolutely. As a couple of veterans with military spouses, I think we can attest that those years of being a military spouse, you can do anything from starting from continuing on a whiskey company to moving across the world. So it's pretty amazing to see you doing that. So
and
awesome.
And Dan and I have done a couple of articles and a couple of videos about women in the bourbon industry already, and you're a good company, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's exciting to watch it kind of expand. So looking ahead, what's the next chapter look like for the brand? Are there new expressions? We're going to talk about what you've got so far here shortly. Other new partnerships on the horizon, anything like that?
Yeah, so definitely, keeping that Veterans Day event, going and growing, having the new event this summer, adding that kind of into the mix of, just additional events that we're doing to help, raise money for veterans. I would love to be able at some point to kind of replicate or duplicate that event and put it in, as many states as possible, and make it not just something that we do here in Dayton, Ohio. Maybe start going down to the Cincinnati or Columbus, and just kind of have these events all over. I think would be incredible. And then as far as I definitely want to grow, obviously, but slowly, since it is just me. I definitely can't grow too quickly, but would love to get in eventually as many states as possible. And then online sales I'm working on too. So right now we're in 6 states, about to be in 7, but hopefully we'll get online sales up and running, and then no matter where you're at, you'll be able to purchase Freedom and support. But yeah, I think just kind of getting the mission out there and spreading as much awareness about our company and our goals and our mission, and just having as many veteran
organizations.
Yeah, and like fundraising events. Yeah, having as many fundraising events for veterans, just all over, and just giving them the support that they need.
Absolutely. Well, we talked a whole lot about the company and about Zach and about how it came about and kind of your mission and your purpose and all of that. I think it's time to talk about the whiskey. And so, like, what do we got here in front of us? What are these two bottles, and what are we looking at? What are we about to have?
Yeah, so there's two different versions. The one here, that is our 90 proof, and then the one with kind of the reddish label, that is anywhere between 112 and 117. So yeah, I think they're both very smooth and tasty. You guys will have to let me know, but yeah, we'll have to try them.
All right, well, I think we are about to have a shot of freedom. So we're going to give these a try and to give you our thoughts. So I think we should start obviously with the lower proof and work our way up.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan and I have not had these at all yet. So we wanted our first encounter to be as candid as possible. So
It's been on the list.
it has.
We wanted to wait for this.
It's nice.
Mhm.
It's not bitter or tannic or anything. It's lovely. I like it.
I get some caramel, some vanilla flavors in that.
Very nice.
Yeah. That's great. Good job.
Smooth burn.
Yeah. A little bit of Kentucky hop, just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
The other one?
And then we have, this is the cast strength. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so this one, what does this one come in at again?
Anywhere between 112 and 117.
Okay.
So each dog tag tells the batch, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bottle date.
Yes, yeah. So all throughout the years, people collect them. That was something that Zach started from the very beginning, is putting a unique dog tag on the side. And
cool.
It'll have the batch number, the bottling date, and some of the most recent ones will say in loving memory of Zach Hollingsworth, Semper Fi, or always remembered, never forgotten. And then there's other, American Patriot, other, kind of slogans that have been put on it throughout the years. But yeah, they'll have the batch number and the bottling date on there. And then people can also, and you can do this on our website, haveashotoffreedom.com. You can email or actually submit it through our website to have a personalized dog tag made.
Okay.
So if you have, someone that's retiring or, anniversary, birthday, anything, 4th of July gift, housewarming gift, or anything at all, you can have a personalized dog tag made to gift the bottle with the tag on it.
That's very cool.
How are you coming up with the sayings on the dog tags? Do you have more that you're going to be releasing, different ones?
Yeah. So after Zach had passed, we kind of just had the same 3 on there for a while. But just recently, I did have a few different ones made. One that says, let's see here, bottle for the American Patriot, Big Family Freedom Whiskey Co. And then,
Oh, that's cool though.
Well, you'll have to go out and buy a bottle until you
Exactly.
find what
Yep.
the
To
other.
get them all, it's like a collector's item, right?
Exactly, yes.
And then get a personalized one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm enjoying this. I get some baking spices on this one.
Yeah, I really got
I like the higher proof.
Yeah, a deeper flavor profiles out of the casks.
So now that we've tried these, we need to figure out what we're going to put in our cocktail.
Yeah, I think we have something in store for that.
Yeah.
So if you're new to the channel, you don't know. If you've been around, you might know.
That's a teaser.
Every Memorial Day and every Veterans Day, Dan and I create, to the best of our knowledge, a unique cocktail to honor the day. So we've got something in store using Freedom Whiskey. We're going to kind of wrap up here and stick around to the next video. The very next video will be another episode at the bar where we make the cocktail. Chris is going to join us and we'll have another drink.
Definitely. This has been fantastic. We've enjoyed our time with you. Your bourbon is delicious. Thank you for sharing your bourbon with us. Thank you for sharing your story with us. It's been great getting to know you and to get to know Zach through you and what Freedom Whiskey is all about. And just a pleasure having you. Pleasure being with you today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for being our first guest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Until next time. Cheers.
Stave Slide.